The sky over Earth was clear that morning, a brilliant blue stretching over oceans, forests, and cities. People went about their lives as usual, unaware that everything was about to change. Then, almost without warning, strange lights appeared in the night sky. At first, most dismissed them as satellites or atmospheric phenomena. But the lights grew, spreading across the sky like a ribbon of stars coming closer by the hour. News. Stations began to report unusual readings, massive objects in orbit. Scientists confirmed the impossible. These were not satellites, not meteors, not human-made objects. They were enormous ships, the largest anyone had ever seen. The public panicked at first, but the world governments acted quickly, sending experts to assess the situation. The ships were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. They were sleek, metallic, and immense, longer than the largest cities on Earth, and glowing with an energy that seemed alive. Observers noted that the ships did not follow any known physics. They moved with grace and precision, hovering silently above the Earth. Then came the first message. It was not in words humans recognized at first. Instead, it was a pattern of light and sound, carefully calculated. Linguists, mathematicians, and AI systems worked together, decoding the alien communication. When they finally understood, the message was chilling in its simplicity. Submit or be made an example. The world froze. Submit to whom? And why? No one had ever encountered a species that dared speak to humanity with such authority. Governments held emergency sessions. Scientists, engineers, and leaders from every nation gathered in conference rooms, virtually and in person, to discuss the threat. At first, the humans tried to reason. Messages of peace, curiosity, and friendship were sent through every available channel. Earth's leaders made it clear that humanity welcomed visitors, had always welcomed visitors, and wished no harm. They reminded the aliens that Earth was home to millions of species, and that humans had learned to live in balance with their planet. The aliens did not reply immediately. Instead, they hovered. Their ships formed geometrical patterns above the Earth, shifting silently in ways that seemed almost playful, yet impossible to predict. People stared at the skies, some in awe, some in fear. Social media exploded with theories, videos, and messages. And humanity realized that the planet, for the first time, was united in attention toward a single point, the stars above. Among the scientists, one young woman stood out. Her name was Maya. She was an energy physicist, specializing in resonance patterns. When she saw the alien ships, she immediately noticed something odd. The energy radiating from the ships wasn't random, it followed certain frequencies that she could interpret. To her, the patterns were not just messages, they were hints. Like a code left in plain sight, Maya worked day and night in a secure laboratory, running simulations, testing theories, and mapping the alien energy signals. She believed that these ships, though massive and intimidating, had weaknesses, small windows in their energy fields where their power was not perfect. It was delicate work, requiring careful observation, patience, and creativity. Meanwhile, humans on the streets were experiencing the arrival differently. Children pointed to the skies, imagining fantastical stories of space heroes. Families gathered on rooftops, holding hands, whispering prayers and hopes. Even in fear, humanity showed a sense of wonder, curiosity that no alien display of power could erase. The world governments, after long debates, decided to send a first official message. It was polite, respectful, and humble. The message told the aliens that humans valued peace and intelligence over conflict, that Earth offered friendship, and that any misunderstanding could be solved through conversation. The transmission used mathematical patterns, visual symbols, and music, a universal language that humans hoped the visitors could understand. The aliens responded, but not with words. They sent a series of projections above major cities, holographic displays of their ships, spinning and twisting, showing potential energy discharge patterns. The projections were beautiful, almost artistic, but undeniably powerful. People watched in awe and fear as the lights danced over the cities. Scientists quickly realized that these displays were not merely for show, they were tests. Probing Earth's defenses and the intelligence of its people, Maya studied these projections closely. She noticed that the ship's energy patterns had small inconsistencies. While their displays were immense, certain harmonics were slightly off. To an untrained eye, it was invisible. To Maya, it was an opportunity. Humanity had been polite, cautious, and observant, but now Maya realized they could respond in kind. She presented her findings to the Global Council. If humans could synchronize energy emissions with the minor irregularities in the alien systems, they could create protective shields over the cities without harming the ships. It was risky, experimental, and unprecedented. But humanity had no other choice. They were polite. They had been peaceful. Yet the aliens' mere presence was a reminder. Sometimes caution was not enough. Across the planet, ordinary people noticed changes too. People began communicating not just with words, but with patterns of lights, radio signals, and coordinated gestures. Artists painted messages on rooftops. Musicians played melodies that reflected the pulses of alien energy. It was subtle, creative, and collective, a demonstration of human unity and intelligence, the aliens observed. Their vast minds, capable of understanding entire star systems, seemed to pause. The messages were not aggressive, yet they were clever. They were not threatening, yet they were impossible to ignore. For the first time, the aliens may have questioned their assumption that humans were weak. Days passed. Tension rose, but humanity remained calm. Governments coordinated with scientists, engineers, and civilians in a global effort. The world was united not through fear, but through determination. Humanity had learned something important. They may be small in size, but their creativity and unity were immense. Then came the first direct test. One of the alien ships emitted a massive energy pulse aimed at the Pacific Ocean. People watched in horror as the sky lit up with a strange, otherworldly glow. But the pulse never hit. Maya's team had successfully synchronized human-made energy fields with the alien pulse. Redirecting it harmlessly into the atmosphere, the world erupted in astonishment. Humanity had succeeded in its first act of subtle resistance. They had been polite, careful, and peaceful, but they had proven without aggression that they could respond when necessary in the alien ships. Commanders communicated with one another, analyzing the results. Some were intrigued, others frustrated. No species had ever responded with such precision without hostility. Humanity had broken expectations. They were supposed to submit, but instead they had shown intelligence, creativity, and courage. The news spread quickly. Humanity's first act of resilience became a symbol across the planet. People realized that politeness and unity were not weaknesses. They were strength in disguise. They also realized that the aliens were learning just as they were learning. Earth was no longer just a small, polite planet. It was a planet of potential, a species to watch, species that might surprise the galaxy. At night, the sky remained filled with alien ships, silent but watchful. Humanity continued to study, plan, and communicate. Maya stayed in her lab, observing patterns and preparing new ways to respond. Humanity had entered a new era. They were polite, yes, but politeness did not mean weakness. And deep down, everyone knew it. If the aliens expected submission, they would be in for a very different lesson. Humanity was learning fast. Humanity was united. And humanity was ready. The first part of the story ended with a quiet but powerful truth. The galaxy had seen Earth, but it had yet to truly understand it. And Earth, in turn, was only beginning to understand the visitors. The stars above were no longer just points of light, they were challenges, possibilities, and a reminder that even a polite species could rise to the occasion. Humanity watched the skies, not in fear, but in anticipation. And the galaxy would soon learn that polite does not mean powerless. After the initial arrival of the alien ships, humanity realized that watching and waiting was no longer enough. The world had seen the size and power of the visitors, and yet the humans remained calm. Governments had already sent messages of peace, but the aliens had only responded with energy displays and silent observation. Now it was time for humanity to take the next step. Global councils convened in emergency sessions, combining diplomats, scientists, and engineers in one unprecedented team. Humanity needed to understand the aliens, not just their technology, but their behavior, their intentions, and the subtle ways they communicated. Communication was the first challenge. No spoken words, no human language could be expected to work. The alien messages were patterns of light and energy, shifting in complex ways that seemed almost alive. Maya, the young energy physicist who had first noticed irregularities in the alien energy patterns, became the central figure in these efforts. She worked with mathematicians, linguists, and artificial intelligence systems to decipher the subtle changes in the alien signals. She discovered that the patterns had repetitions and variations, like a language built from sound, light, and motion instead of words. Every display, every pulse, is intentional, Maya explained to the council. It's not just a test of strength. They're probing us. They want to see if we understand, if we can adapt. They are measuring intelligence, not aggression. With her guidance, humanity developed the first true communication system. Using satellites, city-based energy networks, and synchronized sound waves, humans began sending messages back to the aliens. The messages were calm, polite, and careful. They showed Earth's natural beauty, human art, mathematics, and science. It was a kind of invitation. We wish to understand you, and we invite you to understand us. The aliens responded, but not with speech. Instead, one of the larger ships projected a vast holographic display above the Pacific Ocean. It was breathtaking. The ship created a three-dimensional projection, showing cities, oceans, mountains, and even images of humans going about their lives. Then, the display shifted, showing geometric shapes and energy flows that glowed in colors humans had never named. People across the globe watched in amazement. The display was not aggressive, but it was undeniably powerful. Scientists quickly identified it as a tested demonstration of the alien species' control over energy and matter. But the display also held a question. Could humans understand these patterns? Could they respond in kind? Maya realized the answer. Using Earth's global network of satellites and energy grids, she designed a response. The humans sent back synchronized pulses of light and energy, using patterns that reflected their understanding of the alien display. It was subtle, not loud or threatening, but it demonstrated intelligence, coordination, and creativity. When the aliens saw it, their movements paused for a moment. Reports indicated that some of the ships emitted a low-frequency resonance, a sound so deep it was almost imperceptible. To humans, it sounded like a hum, but to the aliens, it was likely a form of recognition. Maya had noticed the pause and called it a moment of acknowledgement. The aliens were learning that humans were not just reactive, they were capable of observation, calculation, and creativity. Meanwhile, on the ground, humanity reacted in other ways. Schools held lessons under the night sky, teaching children about the patterns and the importance of unity. Artists created murals depicting Earth's response to the visitors. Musicians composed songs that synchronized with the alien energy pulses, sending harmony back into the sky. Humanity's response was not just scientific, it was cultural, emotional, and unified. The aliens began to shift their approach. Their previous tests had been small, controlled demonstrations of energy, but now they attempted more complex challenges. One ship created a spiral of energy over the Atlantic Ocean, attempting to see if humans could respond to fast-moving, shifting patterns. Maya and her team coordinated an intricate energy reflection system using satellites and city grids. They responded accurately, redirecting the energy harmlessly and demonstrating precision and adaptability. The news spread quickly. Humanity had succeeded in its first true act of engagement. They had been polite and peaceful, yet they had responded with intelligence and skill. This success changed the public's mood. People felt pride, hope, and excitement. Humanity was learning that courage did not always mean fighting, it could mean thinking, critiquing, and standing together. The aliens, meanwhile, were intrigued. Reports from their ships indicated debate among their leaders. Some admired humans for their ingenuity. Others were frustrated that a species so small in size could respond in such clever ways without aggression. It was a species unlike any they had ever met. To test humans further, the aliens began sending smaller probes. These probes were not dangerous, but they observed humans closely, analyzing energy patterns, structures, and communications. Maya and her team intercepted the probe's signals, studying their behavior. They realized that the probes could be influenced not by force, but by subtle interference in energy patterns. Humans began to experiment, creating invisible shifts that could redirect the probe's paths harmlessly. Through this, humanity discovered a key lesson. Their strength lay not in weapons, but in creativity and understanding. By observing, learning, and adapting, humans could match the aliens' tests without hostility, even as humans prepared their responses. Ordinary people played their part. People across the globe began coordinating messages using lights, sounds, and signals visible to the aliens. Cities synchronized their nightlights to pulse with the patterns the aliens had displayed. Choirs sang melodies in coordination with the signals. Humans were sending a message not just through science but through culture, art, and unity. The aliens observed, and slowly their assumptions about humanity began to change. A species they expected to be small, weak, and submissive was demonstrating creativity, intelligence, and coordination. Humans were polite, yes, but they were also capable, persistent, clever. Maya understood something important. Humans were not just responding, they were teaching. Every clever solution, every coordinated message, was a lesson in adaptability. Humanity's true strength was emerging not in conflict, but in the unity of thought, culture, and action. Then came a moment of pure wonder. One of the larger alien ships projected a three-dimensional image of the galaxy, highlighting countless worlds. It was as if the aliens were showing humans the vastness of space and the potential paths ahead. Maya realized that this was an invitation, not of subjugation, but of observation. The aliens were beginning to respect the humans' ability to understand and respond. The Global Council recognized that the stakes were high. Humanity had made its first successful contact, but the aliens would not stop their tests. Each day, the displays became more intricate, more complex, and more challenging. Humans responded with precision, creativity, and unity. And every day, humanity grew stronger, not with weapons, but with knowledge, cooperation, and resilience. For the first time in history, humanity saw itself not just as a planet-bound species, but as a player in the larger galaxy. And while the aliens had arrived with strength and intimidation, they were now beginning to understand that humanity's true power was in its mind, its culture, and its ability to unite in the face of uncertainty. The first contact had been polite, careful, and non-violent, but it had set a precedent. Humanity had shown that it could meet challenges without fear, without aggression, and without chaos. The aliens, while immensely powerful, had underestimated the humans' adaptability. In quiet moments, Maya reflected on what had happened. Humanity had been given an extraordinary opportunity not to fight, but to demonstrate intelligence, unity, and courage. Every pulse of energy, every synchronized light, every careful calculation was a declaration. Humans were not weak, and they would not be ignored, as night fell across the planet. Lights from cities, satellites, and human experiments glimmered in coordination. The alien ships hovered above, silent but attentive. The humans watched the stars, not in fear, but in curiosity and anticipation. The first contact had been successful, but it was only the beginning. And somewhere in the depths of space, the aliens began to reconsider. Perhaps humanity was not the simple, polite species they had expected. Perhaps Earth was not a planet to conquer. Perhaps humans, in their small, unified, and clever ways, were far stronger than appearances suggested. The story of the first contact ended with a quiet realization. Humanity had survived, learned, and responded. They had been polite, yes, but politeness had never been their weakness. In fact, it had become their strength. The stars above Earth were no longer distant points of light. They were opportunities, challenges, and reminders that humanity was now part of a larger story. A story in which they would prove that intelligence, creativity, and unity were stronger than fear, power, or intimidation. Humanity had made its first move. The galaxy was watching, and the humans were ready. The alien armada was stunned. Their massive ships drifted in the void, shields flickering from the human strike. Communications between commanders were frantic, full of anger and disbelief. How could a small human fleet, long thought weak and insignificant, annihilate their forces in moments? Admiral Corin, the leader of the alien coalition, pounded his clawed fist against the control panel. "This cannot be," he growled. "These humans, they should not exist at this strength. Reorganize the fleet. Target the humans." But it was too late. The humans had vanished from the sensors for a moment, retreating back into the nebula with precision that no alien ship could match, and then, almost like shadows emerging from the mist, they reappeared. Flanking the alien fleet from multiple angles, Captain Elias Varn observed the movements from the bridge of the Resolute. His calm eyes scanned the displays. Every human ship was in perfect position, drones and fighters ready. "They'll try to overwhelm us now," he said quietly. "Let them. They will learn quickly that humans adapt faster than they can plan." Lieutenant Mara Kellen leaned toward him. "Sir, the enemy is reorganizing. They're sending heavy cruisers to attack our right flank." Elias nodded. "Good. Let them commit to their path. Our fighters will intercept, and the cruisers will be distracted. Timing is everything. Humans fight not just with firepower, but with strategy." The first human fighters surged forward like streaks of silver light, small, agile, and equipped with rapid-fire energy cannons. They darted between alien ships, dodging heavy lasers with precision impossible for any alien pilot to predict. The alien cruisers fired in all directions, but their shots were too slow, too predictable. One by one, drones deployed from human ships disabled their weapons, sending sparks and explosions across the hulls. From the flagship's bridge, Elias watched a heavy cruiser explode in a brilliant flash of green fire. "Beautiful," he whispered. "They think numbers make them strong. Humans know it's not numbers. It's coordination, speed, and heart." Meanwhile, the alien fleet struggled to communicate. Their massive ships were built for destruction, not for adaptability. Commands were delayed by the size of their network. Confusion spread as their formations crumbled. Squadrons collided, shields faltered, and even some of their elite fighters were caught off guard, destroyed by human pilots who anticipated every move. "Captain, we have an opening," Commander Ryo Han shouted. "The left wing is exposed. We can strike their command vessels." Ilias's eyes sparkled with determination. "Ryo, hold. Observe first. They will make a mistake they always do when they panic. Patience wins battles faster than anger." Indeed, the aliens panicked. They launched a massive wave of missiles toward the human fleet, hoping sheer firepower would overwhelm them. But humans had prepared for this. Shields flared as energy fields expanded around the ships, absorbing the impact. Counter-drones intercepted missiles mid-flight, exploding them in safe space. Human fighters weaved through the chaos, taking out enemy missiles and even redirecting some toward the alien fleet itself. The alien commanders were now frantic. "Focus fire on their lead ship," one ordered. "Destroy the Resolute at all costs." But the humans had anticipated that move. Smaller support vessels formed protective screens around the flagship, absorbing the enemy's fire while agile fighters darted through openings, disabling weapons and shields of the alien vessels. Within moments, alien cruisers found themselves under relentless human attack, unable to defend themselves. Their massive ships, once symbols of power, were falling one by one. "Sir, the enemy command cruiser is retreating," Mara said, her voice barely containing awe. Elias allowed himself a brief smile. "Good. They've realized that humans do not fight like any other species. Every action we take is coordinated. Every ship moves as one. That is our advantage. That is why humans endure where others fail." As the battle continued, human ingenuity shone. Engineers aboard the ships were remotely adjusting systems in real time, rerouting energy from weapons to shields or from shields to engines, adapting faster than any alien system could respond. The humans had turned their fleet into a living organism, moving and reacting with intelligence and speed far beyond mechanical precision. Even the aliens could not ignore the unexpected skill of the human pilots. One alien commander, seeing his elite fighter squadron destroyed in moments, shouted at his crew in disbelief. "They anticipate us. They know our every move. How is this possible?" Captain Elias leaned on the console, watching the chaos. "It's simple," he said quietly. "Humans fight with more than firepower. We fight with creativity. We fight with courage. We fight with each other." Suddenly, the human fleet executed the most daring maneuver yet. Smaller ships created decoys, tricking the alien forces into chasing them. While the enemy followed the decoys, the main human force swooped in from behind, striking the alien rear lines with devastating effect. Energy cannons tore through holes, drones sabotaged shield generators, and torpedoes ripped apart engines. Entire fleets collapsed before the aliens could mount a response. The battle was over almost as quickly as it had begun. Silence fell over the war zone, broken only by the hum of human engines and the occasional spark of a disabled alien ship drifting in space. For the first time, the galaxy's most confident and ruthless warriors had been defeated in seconds. Captain Elias surveyed the aftermath. His fleet had suffered minor damage, and only a few fighters had been lost. Alien ships were scattered, some destroyed, some retreating in disarray. The humans had proven that courage, coordination, cleverness could overcome even overwhelming odds. Mara turned to him, still catching her breath. "Captain, they lasted." "Seconds." "The entire armada?" Elias nodded. "Yes, Mara, seconds. And the galaxy will remember that. They will remember that humans are not to be underestimated." Even now, across distant worlds, the news of the human fleet's arrival and sudden victory spread. Minor civilizations cheered, inspired by the courage and skill of humanity. Some aliens reconsidered their alliances, questioning whether they should face humans again. Everywhere, the galaxy was taking note. Humans had arrived, and their presence would not be ignored. But Captain Elias knew that this was only the beginning. The alien fleet they faced had been strong, yes, but not the strongest. Far beyond the edge of known space, rumors spoke of even larger, more powerful forces, alien civilizations that had never been challenged and would not hesitate to destroy humanity if provoked. "Prepare for recovery and repair," Elias said. "We celebrate this victory, but we do not grow complacent. The galaxy has noticed us now, and stronger enemies will come. We must be ready." Riohan saluted. "Understood, Captain. Our ships are ready, and our pilots are eager. Humanity will meet whatever comes next." Elias smiled faintly. "Good. That is the spirit. Remember, humans survive because we adapt. And we will not just survive, we will thrive. The galaxy will learn that humans are not just another species. We are the ones who can change the rules of war." Below the bridge, crews worked tirelessly to repair minor damages and recalibrate weapon systems. Engineers shared smiles and nods, proud of what they had accomplished. Pilots ran simulations, studying their tactics and preparing for any new threats. Even in the quiet aftermath, the human fleet was ready to act, ready to defend, ready to conquer. Outside, stars of Zephyrus shone brightly. The nebula that had hidden the human fleet now reflected their victory. The war zone was silent, and the humans stood at its center, victorious, united, and unbroken. And somewhere, deep in the void beyond, alien civilizations watched. They saw the humans, they understood the skill, and they felt the tremor of fear. For the first time, the galaxy knew that humans were a force to be reckoned with. Captain Elias looked out at the endless stars. "This is only the beginning," he said softly. "The galaxy will see us again. And when they do, they will know that humans do not surrender, humans do not hesitate, and humans always rise." The human fleet glided through space, ready for the next challenge. And the war zone, for now, had fallen silent. Weeks had passed since the alien ships first appeared over Earth. Humanity had learned to observe, adapt, and respond. What began as polite greetings had grown into a demonstration of intelligence, coordination, and unity. And now, their actions were no longer unnoticed in the wider galaxy. The Galactic Council, a vast assembly of advanced species, some older than many stars, had long monitored potential threats and emerging civilizations. When the reports from the alien species near Earth reached them, the Council convened in a chamber that floated in space, shaped like a spiral of shining light. Thousands of species, each with their own unique forms. Gathered to witness the data, they expected humanity to submit, said one council member. A crystalline entity that shimmered with every color of the spectrum. Yet these humans, they have adapted to every test. They did not fight, but they responded with intelligence. Creativity, coordination, this is unusual. Even for a developing species, another member. A being with liquid-like appendages that shifted fluidly spoke next. It seems they understand patterns of energy beyond their own technology. They have synchronized multiple cities, satellites, and even individual devices into a network that is remarkable. They do not react with force, they act with thought. Back on Earth, humanity remained unaware of the Council's observation. The alien ships still hovered silently, conducting their tests, projecting energy patterns and probes to challenge humans' ingenuity. Maya continued her work tirelessly. She knew that these tests were growing more complex, and that each success was slowly changing the way the aliens saw humanity. One morning, a new display appeared over the Indian Ocean. This time, it was larger than anything humans had seen before. The ships projected a three-dimensional maze of energy patterns stretching over thousands of kilometers. The patterns moved constantly, changing shape, and interweaving in ways that seemed impossible to follow. Maya studied the projections, her mind racing. This is no longer a simple test, she told her team. They want to see if we can understand complexity, if we can coordinate on a planetary scale. Every city, every team, every satellite will need to work together perfectly. Humanity rose to the challenge. Teams from every continent coordinated through a network that combined AI, satellite arrays, and even synchronized signals from citizens on the ground. Musicians, artists, and engineers all contributed in ways previously unimaginable. Light and sound patterns merged with energy pulses, forming a planetary response that was both precise and beautiful. As the humans' counter patterns activated, the alien maze began to shift harmlessly. The massive projection twisted and folded, reflecting humans' ingenuity. People on Earth watched in awe as the impossible patterns transformed into an elegant display of light and color. Humanity's response was not only correct, it was creative, turning a test into a spectacle. The aliens observed, sending data back to their homeworlds. Reports indicated confusion among their ranks. They are not like any species we have studied, one leader noted. They learn quickly. They adapt creatively. They do not respond with aggression. They innovate. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council continued to analyze the situation. This is unprecedented, said the crystalline entity. Humans have demonstrated planetary-scale coordination, problem-solving, and innovation without hostility. A species so young in the galaxy shows more adaptability than many older civilizations. The Council deliberated carefully. Should they intervene? Should they issue warnings? Some members argued that humanity's response was polite, but polite does not always mean weak. Others worried that the aliens near Earth might act recklessly, underestimating humans' capabilities. Back on Earth, Maya noticed something remarkable. The alien ships seemed to hesitate, their energy patterns becoming slightly more careful, less aggressive. They are learning, she told her team. Our responses are changing them. They are adjusting their expectations. Citizens also played their part. Schools held coordinated exercises. Children learned about patterns, observation, and teamwork. Communities projected synchronized lights, turning cities into living displays of human creativity. Humanity was sending a message not only to the aliens but to itself. Unity and intelligence were strengths beyond any single individual. The alien ships responded to humans. Continued adaptation with another demonstration. A massive projection appeared over the Sahara Desert, showing a simulation of entire ecosystems. It illustrated how energy and matter could flow across a planet, affecting everything within it. The aliens were testing humans' understanding not just of energy, but of balance, observation, and prediction. Maya studied the simulation and proposed a bold approach. Instead of simply reflecting the energy, humans could adjust it in ways that enhanced the patterns without causing disruption. Satellites, city networks, and coordinated ground signals formed a response that worked in harmony with the alien display. Slowly, the simulated energy flow aligned with humans' intervention, creating a spectacle of light and order. The success of this demonstration reached the Galactic Council. "They are thinking in ways we rarely see," said a member whose form resembled spinning rings of metal. "They are not reacting, they are anticipating, cooperating, and enhancing. This is more than adaptation. This is innovation." The Council realized that humans had become a beacon of potential in the galaxy. Not through war, not through conquest, but through intelligence, creativity, and unity. The alien species had come to test humanity, expecting submission. Instead, humans had shown a new form of strength that was difficult to quantify. Resilience through thought, cooperation, and insight. On Earth, the public noticed a subtle change. The alien ships no longer moved as aggressively. Their energy displays were complex, but they seemed curious rather than threatening. Humanity had passed every test, and the aliens were beginning to respect them. People realized that their efforts working together, creating, learning were shaping the perceptions of a species far older and stronger than their own. Maya reflected on the progress. "We are being noticed," she said. "Not because we are strong in force, but because we are strong in mind, creativity, and unity. The galaxy is starting to understand that polite does not mean powerless." The Council continued to monitor Earth closely. Communications among their members emphasized the importance of observation. "This species is young, yet capable," said a member made of light and shadow. "They will continue to surprise us. Perhaps we should offer guidance, not dominance." Meanwhile, humanity prepared for another demonstration. This time, the alien ships projected a dynamic map of the solar system, highlighting the positions of planets, moons, and energy flows. The challenge was clear. Humans were to demonstrate understanding of planetary-scale systems, coordination, and precise timing. Maya and her team coordinated with international teams. Engineers, scientists, artists, and citizens worked together in a global effort. Synchronizing energy fields and light patterns with unmatched precision, humanity's response was seamless, transforming the alien projection into an interactive display that showed understanding, creativity, and harmony. The Galactic Council took note. "This is not a threat," said the crystalline member. "This is a species that demonstrates intelligence through cooperation. Their strength is in unity, innovation, and learning. We may have underestimated them." Back on Earth, humans celebrated quietly. They had not fought, they had not conquered, but they had proven something greater. Politeness and cooperation had not held them back. They had risen to the challenge, proving that intelligence and unity could match even the most powerful species in the galaxy. For Maya, the work was far from over. She knew that the aliens were learning, that humanity's responses would shape the way they viewed the planet and its people. Every pulse of energy, every synchronized signal was a lesson in adaptability, creativity, and cooperation. Humans were teaching the galaxy a new kind of strength. As night fell across Earth, the stars above were filled with alien ships, observing, analyzing, and perhaps reconsidering their assumptions. Humanity had shown the first signs of true capability. They had been polite, careful, and respectful, but they had also been clever, united, and adaptive. The story of Earth's presence in the galaxy was changing. The Council and alien species alike were beginning to understand that humans were not to be underestimated. Politeness did not equal weakness. Cooperation did not mean submission. Intelligence, creativity, and unity were forces that could rival any power in the galaxy. And for the first time, humans looked up at the sky with more than curiosity. They looked with confidence. They had passed tests, adapted to challenges, and shown the galaxy their potential. The visitors had come to test them, but in the process, humanity had become more than observers. They had become a species that could shape its own destiny and, perhaps, influence the galaxy itself. Maya looked at the night sky, the alien ships hovering silently, lights blinking and shifting in intricate patterns. Humanity had been tested and had risen to the occasion. They had been polite, but politeness had not prevented them from proving strength. And now, the galaxy was beginning to take notice. The next challenges would be greater. The aliens' tests would become more complex. But humanity had learned something vital. Together, they were capable of meeting any challenge. The alien ships had remained over Earth for weeks, silent and massive. Their presence, a constant reminder of the galaxy's power. Humanity had adapted, responded, and impressed. They had met every test, not with weapons, but with creativity, intelligence, and unity. Yet despite all their clever responses, there was one truth they could not ignore. The aliens still had the ability to harm Earth if they chose. Maya stood in the command center looking at the projections on the wall. Energy readings, satellite data, and human responses were displayed in perfect harmony. "They're testing again," she said, her voice calm but determined. "This time it feels larger. They want to see how far we can go." Across the planet, cities were alive with coordination. Engineers monitored satellites, artists synchronized lights with energy pulses, and ordinary citizens participated by sending signals from rooftops, parks, and open fields. Humanity's response had become a global effort, a demonstration of coordination and innovation that spanned continents. Suddenly, the largest display yet appeared over the Pacific Ocean. A massive vortex of energy twisted above the waves, moving faster than anything humans had previously seen. It was not destructive, but its sheer scale was intimidating. The aliens were testing humanity's ability to coordinate on a planetary scale under pressure. Maya and her team analyzed the vortex. Its energy patterns were complex, unpredictable, and multi-layered. But humanity had grown stronger with each test. They were no longer simply reacting. They were anticipating, innovating, and enhancing the display without harm. "Everyone synchronize," Maya commanded. "This is not just a response. This is our message. We have been polite and we have been careful, but we will not be passive if challenged." Humanity's counterpatterns activated. Satellites, city energy grids, and synchronized signals created a web of coordination that flowed across the planet. Slowly, the alien vortex began to shift, responding to humanity's input. The energy flowed harmlessly into the atmosphere, creating a spectacle of light and color visible across oceans and continents. People watched in awe. They had not fought. They had not destroyed. But they had demonstrated something far greater: intelligence, creativity, and unity on a scale that could match even the galaxy's strongest. The alien leaders communicated among themselves, pulses and patterns flashing across their ships. Reports indicated that some were impressed, others hesitant. No species had ever responded in this way, not with aggression, but with precision, anticipation, and harmony. Humanity had forced them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about this small blue planet. Bayer realized it was time to take the next step. Humanity's response had been defensive, clever, and non-violent, but now it needed to be assertive. A bold message, clear and unmistakable, would show the aliens that Earth was not a planet to intimidate. Through every network, signal, and projection system, humanity sent its message, coordinated, clear, and unyielding. "We have been polite, we have been careful, but we are not naive. If threatened, we will respond not with fear, but with every tool our intelligence, creativity, and unity provide. We are stronger than you imagine." The message was delivered visually, audibly, and energetically. The vortex above the Pacific paused, then began to fold into a form that mirrored humanity's declaration. The alien ship seemed to shimmer, pulses of energy reflecting acknowledgement. The visitors understood for the first time that submission was not an option and that the human strength lay not in force, but in resilience, intelligence, and collaboration. Across the world, people celebrated quietly, not with conflict, but with pride. Humanity had not fought, yet they had proven themselves. They had shown that polite, creative, and united action could rival any display of power. The stars above Earth were no longer a source of fear. They were a stage on which humans had demonstrated their potential. The Galactic Council, observing from afar, took note. "This species has changed the balance of perception," said a member whose body glowed with shifting constellations. "They have met challenges with intelligence and unity. They have shown strength in ways no other species has demonstrated." On the alien ships, commanders debated. Some had arrived expecting conquest, dominance, and submission. Instead, they found creativity, cooperation, and courage. Humanity had not only survived, it had taught a lesson in strength without aggression. The final display of the aliens was subtle. Instead of testing humans further with large energy fields, they hovered, observing. Their ships formed patterns in the sky that mirrored humans' earlier responses. It was as if they were acknowledging a truce, a respect earned through ingenuity rather than fear. Maya looked at the data and smiled. Humanity had done more than defend itself. They had proven that politeness, intelligence, and unity were powerful forces. They had shown that force was not the only way to command respect, and that true strength often comes from the mind, the heart. In collaboration, people around the world experienced a sense of awe and unity. Communities held celebrations under the night sky, recognizing that humanity had not just survived, but had demonstrated the highest potential of cooperation and creativity. Messages of pride, hope, and inspiration spread across nations. Humanity had learned to face the unknown, not with weapons, but with intelligence and unity. The alien ships, now stationary above Earth, seemed to shift slightly, a gesture of recognition. Humanity understood. The galaxy's strongest had learned that Earth was not a world to conquer easily. Humans had been polite, but they had been clever. They had been careful, but they had been bold. And now, they had shown the universe a new kind of strength. Maya reflected on the journey. From the first moments of confusion and fear to the coordinated planetary responses, humanity had grown. They had learned that intelligence, cooperation, and creativity could match even the greatest displays of power. And they had shown that politeness was not weakness. It was a foundation on which true strength could be built. The stars above were quiet now. Filled with alien observers who had witnessed human ingenuity firsthand, the Galactic Council would continue to watch, taking note of Earth's potential. And humanity, having proven itself, would continue to grow, learn, and prepare for the challenges and opportunities the galaxy held. For the first time, humans understood that their place in the universe was not defined by fear or submission, but by capability, creativity, and unity. The aliens had arrived to test them, expecting weakness. Instead, they had found intelligence, resilience, and courage, and humanity. United and confident, sent a silent message to the stars. Earth may be polite, but it is no longer passive. It is a species to be respected, a species capable of surprising even the strongest in the galaxy. The story concluded with a sense of quiet triumph. Humanity had faced the unknown and had risen to the occasion. They had not needed weapons, aggression, or dominance. They had relied on intelligence, unity, and creativity, and in doing so, they had earned a place among the stars as a species of remarkable potential. The night sky over Earth sparkled with alien lights, but humanity watched without fear. They were no longer just observers. They were participants in the greater galaxy, a species ready to face any challenge, not with force, but with thought, creativity, in cooperation, and somewhere deep among the stars, the galaxy's strongest species finally understood. polite does not mean powerless. And Earth, small but united, had just begun to show what that truly meant.